Hi guys, my name is Sid and I'm the Mathematics Director at Prestige Tuition. To begin our year, we'd like to start a channel for senior students to get involved with us to solve mathematical problems. We'll be solving advanced and extension 1 mathematics problems throughout the year. And today we're going to start with trigonometry, since that's the first topic that we're going to do at Prestige Tuition this year. So to begin, the question up on the board is find the values of theta for 0 with the domain from 0 to 180 such that cos 2 theta is equal to half. Now, first thing I tell my students is we have to eliminate the domain, so let's forget it even exists and then we'll come back to that later. The problem that we have at hand is cos 2 theta is equal to half. Now, solving this is very important. For those of you who study 3-unit maths, you will have to be very careful with this because you have other topics coming up such as general solution, which we'll do in the next video, as well as harder 3-unit functions, where you'll have to manipulate this very properly and you'll make a lot of silly mistakes if you don't understand this properly. So the basics with this is you have to perform an inverse function. So cos inverse of cos 2 theta, remember whatever you do to the left hand side, you do to the right hand side, is cos inverse of half. By doing this, an inverse of an original function will make it cancel. So we end up getting 2 theta on this side, and cos inverse 1 of half, if we know our exact values, we can simply know that it's 60 degrees, but you're more than welcome to use a calculator. You just plug into it cos inverse of half, and you should get your answer to be 60 degrees. Now, mind you, with trigonometry, this is the acute angle, but there's infinite angles with this cos inverse of half. And infinite angles being, you've studied in your year 10 and year 11 class that we have a quadrant because trigonometry is actually derived from a circle, but we use a quadrant to signify where our angles are going to sit. Obviously, all stations to central stands for all the angles are acute here. Sine is positive and everything remains negative here. Tan is positive, everything else negative, and cos is positive, and the rest are negative here. So, because we have a positive cos angle, it's going to be in the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So, this is good because that's just the standard acute angle, and this has the identity of 360 minus theta, being that we've done a full rotation along this way, but we have a little bit to take over, and that way we get our angle that we require. So 2 theta is equal to 60 and 360 minus 60, which is 60 and 300 degrees. So note, I just want to pay attention to there being 2 angles in the first quadrant, meaning the first rotation has 2 angles. But note, we're dealing with 2 theta rather than theta. So if a standard question was cos theta is equal to half, then we would essentially stop there. But we're dealing with 2 theta, so in order to fix that, what we'll have to do is we'll have to go another rotation around. So this was our first rotation where we had 60 degrees and then we had 300 degrees. Now what we have to do is we have to go around again. So essentially what that is we're adding 360 to the angle again. So if we start here and we have 60, we add 360 to that, it's essentially we're at the same position, but it's the second rotation. So we're going 60 plus 360. And same deal with this one, it's the identical angle, but we're going around the second rotation. So we have to plus 360 again. So our final answer is 60, 300, 420 degrees, and 660 degrees. At this stage, then we can divide it by 2. A lot of students divide it by 2 here, and then they stop there. A lot of students divide it by 2 here, and then they carry on this step, but it's actually wrong because you're going ahead. So you need to do everything methodologically, and now you can divide it. We get 30 degrees, 150 degrees, 210 degrees, and 330 degrees. So that's our final answer, but once we have all of our angles, we have to pay attention to the domain. Now the domain for this question in particular is 0 to 180. So we just have to include the angles that occur for that condition. And because of that, we just have our two angles. So our final answer will be 30 degrees and 150 degrees. Now, I know it seems redundant that why did I make you guys work this out? Well, for most questions, the domain is 0 to 360. So we just have to be careful and always pay attention to the domain. Some questions also have minus 180 to 180. So what you'd have to do is, instead of us going around the second rotation, you'll actually have to convert these angles into negatives. But maybe once you guys have some practice with other questions, you'll realize what I'm saying. For now, how to solve this question is at hand, and our final answer is 30 degrees and 150 for this particular question. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like us on our Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, because there's plenty more videos to come. To find out more information about Prestige Tuition, feel free to visit us on our website. I'll see you next time.